The truth about crypto billionaires. Imagine a world where wealth is created not in decades, but in days. Where someone with a laptop and Wi-Fi can leapfrog entire empires built over centuries. That world isn't science fiction, it's the world of crypto billionaires. But here's the paradox. Their wealth is as real as it is unreal. Billions vanish in the blink of an eye, only to return with the next bull run. It's a story not just about money, but about technology, power, and human psychology. This is the truth about crypto billionaires. When Satoshi Nakamoto mined the first Bitcoin in 2009, few could imagine it would spawn billionaires. But history tells us revolutions often start small. The California gold rush began with a single nugget in 1848. The dot-com boom began with a few nerds coding in garages. Bitcoin was no different. One block, one line of code, one idea. And like every revolution, those who got in early and held on tight would reap unimaginable rewards. The Winklevoss twins are the perfect symbol of crypto's strangeness. Mocked for losing Facebook to Mark Zuckerberg, they reinvented themselves by going all in on Bitcoin. At one point, their holdings made them worth over $3 billion each. Their story isn't just about money. It's about redemption. The narrative that crypto could rewrite losers into winners, outsiders into insiders. Meanwhile, thousands of anonymous miners, with nothing more than cheap electricity and faith, stacked coins worth fortunes today. They remain invisible billionaires, holding wealth that could destabilize markets with a single transaction. Vitalik Buterin represents a different archetype. Not a trader or hustler, but a thinker. Barely out of his teens, he imagined a blockchain that could run programs, not just money. Ethereum wasn't about getting rich quick. It was about reimagining the internet. And yet, Vitalik became a billionaire anyway. By 2021, his ETH holdings made him worth over $1.5 billion. But unlike many crypto billionaires, he gave much of it away, donating hundreds of millions in crypto to charities, and even sending $1 billion in tokens to aid COVID relief in India. This raises a deeper question. Are crypto billionaires more like robber barons or philanthropists? No story of crypto billionaires is complete without CZ, Changpeng Zhao. He didn't invent a coin. He built the infrastructure. Binance became the beating heart of global crypto trading, at times moving more volume than the New York Stock Exchange. At his peak, CZ was worth nearly $100 billion, rivaling Elon Musk. Then came regulation. Governments cracked down. His fortune fell by tens of billions in months. But CZ's rise, from immigrant coder to one of the richest men alive, shows how crypto wealth has disrupted the old order of power. Meanwhile, Brian Armstrong of Coinbase proved that crypto could be accepted by Wall Street. When Coinbase went public in 2021, Armstrong's stake briefly made him worth over $14 billion. For a moment, crypto billionaires weren't outlaws. They were CEOs. But wealth built on speculation is fragile, and when it collapses spectacularly. Sam Bankman-Fried, SBF, was once the poster child of effective altruism. He promised to make billions in crypto, only to give it all away to save the world. Instead, he built a house of cards. In 2022, FTX collapsed, taking $8 billion of customer funds with it. SBF went from crypto's golden boy to its greatest villain. His $26 billion fortune evaporated overnight. But here's the truth. SBF wasn't alone. History is littered with figures like him. The dot-com bubble had its paper billionaires. The housing crisis had its mortgage kings. Crypto simply compressed the cycle, creation, rise, and collapse, into months instead of decades. Do Kwon, once hailed as a visionary, saw his Luna token go from $40 billion to zero in a week. Investors were ruined. He became a fugitive. The lesson? In crypto, billionaires are built not on certainty, but on belief. And when belief cracks, everything falls apart. Crypto billionaires aren't confined to Silicon Valley. In South Korea, early exchanges minted local billionaires. In China, underground mining empires created secretive tycoons. In El Salvador, President Nayib Bukele bet his country's future on Bitcoin, effectively turning governance into a crypto gamble. In Africa, crypto billionaires remain rare, but entrepreneurs are emerging. In Nigeria and Kenya, traders turn small stakes into fortunes by arbitraging between local currencies and crypto markets. For the first time, A financial revolution wasn't born in Wall Street boardrooms, but in bedrooms, coffee shops, and server farms scattered across the world. Crypto billionaires didn't just shape finance, they reshaped culture. NFT mania in 2021 saw artists and collectors become overnight millionaires. Beeple, a digital artist, sold an NFT at Christie's for $69 million, instantly joining the ranks of the crypto elite. Celebrities piled in. From Elon Musk tweeting about Dogecoin to rappers launching NFT collections, the line between finance and pop culture blurred. Suddenly, wealth wasn't just about coins, it was about clout. Crypto billionaires became influencers, shaping memes, politics, and culture as much as markets. But culture is fickle. Just as quickly as the hype rose, it collapsed, leaving many asking, was this innovation or just madness? When John D. Rockefeller became the world's first oil billionaire, his wealth was tied to pipelines, refineries, and barrels of crude. When Andrew Carnegie built his fortune, it was in steel mills and railroads. Crypto billionaires? Their wealth often exists only in numbers on a screen, billions that cannot always be cashed out without destroying the very markets that price them. Michael Saylor, founder of MicroStrategy, bet his entire company on Bitcoin, buying billions worth. His net worth rose and fell with Bitcoin's price. A reminder that in crypto, billionaires are at the mercy of volatility itself. The question is haunting. Is this wealth real? Or is it simply the largest speculative bubble since tulip mania? What happens next? Governments are cracking down. The US, EU, and China are all racing to regulate. Central banks are building their own digital currencies. AI is now merging with blockchain, raising new possibilities and new risks. Will the next wave of billionaires come from decentralized AI running on blockchain? Or will regulation crush the party, leaving crypto billionaires as a strange footnote in financial history? Perhaps both. Because if history teaches us anything, it's this. Revolutions don't disappear. They evolve. Not all crypto billionaires came from Bitcoin or Ethereum. Some carved their wealth from the thousands of altcoins that followed. Justin Sun, the controversial founder of Tron, made himself a billionaire not just through his blockchain, but through relentless marketing. He bid millions to have lunch with Warren Buffett, desperate to legitimize crypto in the eyes of traditional finance. To his critics, he's a showman. To his fans, a visionary. Chris Larsen, co-founder of Ripple, became one of the richest men in the world when XRP briefly soared in value. His wealth, at times greater than Mark Zuckerberg's, showed how a single token could create astronomical fortunes overnight. But lawsuits with the SEC raised questions. Was this innovation, or just unregistered securities trading on hype? Then there's Barry Silbert, who built Digital Currency Group, a conglomerate of crypto investments that touched nearly every corner of the industry. At his peak, he was one of the most influential men in finance. When parts of his empire collapsed, billions evaporated, showing how interconnected the crypto billionaire web had become. And Michael Novogratz, a former Goldman Sachs partner turned crypto evangelist, became a symbol of Wall Street's uneasy marriage with digital assets. His tattoos, including a massive Luna logo across his arm, became a metaphor, a billionaire literally wearing a doomed bet on his skin. Each of these figures represents a different archetype. The hustler, the corporate strategist, the empire builder, and the fallen Wall Street giant. What drives someone to hold Bitcoin when it's worth $1, or to pour billions into Ethereum before the world cares? The answer isn't just strategy, it's psychology. Crypto billionaires embody three human traits: greed, faith, and fear. Greed, the desire for unimaginable wealth, faster than any industry in history has offered. Faith, the belief in a future no one else sees, money without banks, value without borders. Fear, the paranoia that governments, competitors, or even technology itself could erase fortunes overnight. This psychology explains why crypto billionaires act differently than old money elites. They are louder, brasher, more online. They flaunt memes, Twitter battles, and extravagant purchases. They live as much on social media as they do in boardrooms. They know their wealth is fragile, and so they burn brighter, because they may burn out faster. Crypto billionaires don't just move markets. Increasingly, they influence nations. In El Salvador, President Bukele invited Bitcoin billionaires to shape national policy, even issuing volcano bonds backed by crypto. His bet turned a small Central American nation into a global crypto experiment. In the United States, billionaires like Sam Bankman-Fried funneled millions into political campaigns, hoping to sway regulation. In China, mining billionaires tested the government's patience until Beijing finally banned crypto mining, wiping out billions in the process. Meanwhile, in countries suffering hyperinflation, Venezuela, Argentina, Turkey, crypto billionaires became symbols of resistance, proof that individuals could outwit failing states with digital money. Wealth has always influenced politics, but crypto billionaires wield a unique weapon: mobility. Their fortunes are borderless. Their companies are digital. They can flee jurisdictions at the speed of an internet connection. This terrifies governments, and it fascinates those who dream of freedom. To understand crypto billionaires, we must look backward. In the late 1800s, robber barons like Rockefeller and Carnegie amassed unprecedented wealth through oil and steel. They were both admired and despised. They built empires, but crushed competitors. They gave away fortunes, but controlled nations. Crypto billionaires are today's robber barons, only faster, more volatile, and operating in a space without rules. Then there's tulip mania in the 1600s, when rare tulip bulbs sold for the price of mansions. A speculative bubble that eventually popped, ruining investors. Crypto has been called the modern tulip mania, except this time, it's not flowers, it's code. Finally, the dot-com bubble of the 1990s. Paper billionaires rose on internet hype, only to vanish when the bubble burst. And yet, from the ashes, giants like Amazon and Google emerged. Could crypto follow the same path? A crash today, but enduring titans tomorrow. How will history remember crypto billionaires? Will Vitalik Buterin be remembered as the digital Thomas Edison, a visionary who reshaped the fabric of society? Will Sam Bankman-Fried be remembered as the Bernie Madoff of crypto, the face of hubris and fraud? Will CZ be remembered as the Rockefeller of exchanges, or as a pirate who challenged governments too boldly? History may decide that crypto billionaires were pioneers of a new era, or it may dismiss them as speculators, gamblers, and frauds. But their legacy, like their wealth, will be determined not just by what they built, but by what survives after the hype fades. The most thought-provoking part of this story isn't the billionaires themselves, it's the world they reveal, a world where money is no longer controlled by borders, a world where wealth can be conjured from lines of code, a world where the difference between a genius and a scammer is often just timing. Crypto billionaires expose the fragility of our faith in money. They remind us that wealth is a story we agree upon, a belief system, and belief can change overnight. Maybe crypto is the future, maybe it's a mirage, but the billionaires it created and destroyed are proof that in the digital age, money has become faster, stranger, and more dangerous than ever before. The truth about crypto billionaires isn't really about Bitcoin, Ethereum, or blockchains. It's about us. Our greed, our dreams, our desperate chase for the next revolution. Some call them pioneers. Some call them parasites. But whether you admire them or despise them, crypto billionaires are the mirror of our times. And perhaps the most unsettling truth of all is this: it isn't just about their billions. It's about how easily it could have been us.